INT, there should be. Let's do INT 004. Okay. Bash 3 packaged. So let's see what package we are going to use. So we're going to select a template. There are a lot of templates out there. Let's see if we have any benefits plan available so we can do a benefits connector. Plans, we have Delta Dental. This is better. Delta is better. Delta. Yeah. Let's do Delta. You have Delta Dental, have dental for California, Colorado, different states and everything. There should be something. What? We should go by states only. Oh, the easiest would be Vision. Vision, usually the provider is VSP. So most of the VSP Vision. So you have selected a template called VSP Vision. So this is gonna send information in a format for the VSP provider. So I'm gonna click OK. Like similar to how you did your packaged connectors, how you did your core connectors. You're gonna configure your services first. You're gonna enable the services that you require. You're gonna disable something not required. You see the difference is in a core connector, you have core connector worker or something. You have all of these services like optional, and you enable them. In this case, everything is most probably automatically enabled, right? So these are the services that Vision, VSP provider, and Workday work together, and they automatically enabled everything out. So they left the personal data section. If a client wants to send personal data, or if Vision VSP for that client requires personal data, you will include that section. If not, you will just exclude it. There's a debug service which you don't use it. So click OK. You have your services done. And then now you still have some errors, one error and two alerts required for launch. There are some required for launch items. We're gonna do them. So let's go back and let's do our attributes, configure integration attributes. Okay, the first one is benefit plans. It is required for launch. It is asking us to select the benefit plans. I'm gonna add a line and I'm gonna select the Vision Healthcare VSP Vision Provider Vision Service Plan. Right, that is the only Vision plan I think I have under healthcare coverages. This is my plan. That's good. And these are the rest of the attributes that defines this file, and then include controls organization's response group for get workers request, leave and check to improve performance. So if you enable this, so this is going to ask for a prompt saying what organizations you want this application to run for, like which company you want it to run only for, or which pay group or something like that, right? So include only what organizations. Enable multiple lines, attribute controls whether the address lines are left as separate lines or concatenated together into one line. Set value to yes to output in address line 1 and address line 2 on separate. If not configured, two address lines will be concatenated together. So this goes as an option between you and your VSP provider. So if your VSP provider says, I want both of them to be combined, you select it and say concatenate. Or right now it is concatenated, so you can leave it. If they say comes back and say, I need them in separate rows, I would do this. Let's see how the file looks like if I do that. Attribute uses the integration services to apply the upper function to the carrier output. Not sure what that is. Most of these are file specific. I'm thinking maybe uppercase. We'll see later. Enable test mode. This is not a test mode. Data OS. Citizenship status. Specify tenantal values to the worker as citizen of country. So should you include citizenship status, or what citizenship status should be included? Includes there. If anyways, this is a changes only file, right? When there is no enrollment data or data that is not eligible to be sent, what does that mean is it is a changes only or something that only changes should be sent from the last successful run date, I believe. But if you don't have any changes, should I send an empty file or should I not? If this is set to yes, it will create. Otherwise, it will not create any file. It will not send anything. HIPAA, so you have a lot of attributes. So every connector will have almost these number of attributes, but most of them you don't you configure depending on your feedback from your vendor. So if your vendor is VSP, of course, and they'll come back and say you can use the template, so you are automatically sending something by defaulted by Workday, right? So these are all left by default by Workday. Let's say if your plan supervisor name is, this is HIPAA file anyways, required by VSP, please obtain value from VSP and override this attribute. So it says it is required by VSP. So if I override it, it's going to ask me some name, plan sponsor name. I would write my company here or something, right? Whatever VSP gives me. So this is one attribute that goes into the file. Sponsor ID as well. I would say 10001. Same thing by these attributes as well. So it is specifically saying that this is required by VSP. If you don't include it, it's going to error out on VSP side. So interchange ID, it's 1. And I don't know, I'm just giving some values here, but these values will be coming from VSP. Application sender code is 20. Master policy number would be 5453649. And I think those are all the ones that are required by VSP. And these are rest of them. Like I'm not sure, like some of you guys would not be familiar with HIPAA 834. It's a different format of file. Once we run this integration, you'll see what that format is. HIPAA is usually used for benefits. Most of the benefit providers use the HIPAA 834 format. So it is still have a couple of things that we need to configure. So I go to actions, integration system, configure integration field overrides. You don't see the field attributes here. You remember there used to be a column on Core Connector Worker saying configure integration field attributes, but you don't see that here. That's because there's no option for you to select field. It's just the VSP, the template takes care of it. It will send all whatever the required fields are. Right? You have an option to configure field overrides, like some information VSP includes that it cannot get from a worker. It goes by field overrides. So for example, when you go to dependent, you have two fields that you can specify, like the dependent unique identifier. What would be the dependent unique identifier? I'm going to say it's a dependent ID, or I can say it's the social security number. Let's put the national ID in here. This is the unique identifier value for dependent by 34. The override precedence or the unique identifier default value is government ID. Default it's going by government ID, but if you want to override with something else, you use it. Otherwise, just leave it blank. Same thing here. The worker, I suppose it might have additional parameters that you can configure. It has 19 field overrides. Status code, subscriber unique identifier. So if the vendor comes back and says, okay, I need a different vision begin date, or I need a different position code. I don't need position code. I need something like a requisition ID or something. You can override that from here. It sits on the file. I'm not going to change anything on the field overrides yet. I'm going to run the integration and see if we have any in the first place. Close this thing real quick. See if you can mind that. Now it will pass. Okay, so I have my effective date, last update, from effective date, from last update. So you have all these date parameters from here, which will detect the changes, right? So I leave the effective dates today, and from effective date, I would put it from, let's say, hopefully there are some changes from back 07, from entry date 07. These are like the entry and effective dates from your code connector. Click OK. So this should detect the changes that happen to any members or any dependents, any overage dependents or something who used or who has the vision plan in this dependent. But yeah, while it is running, go ahead and see what's happening. You still need to configure a couple of things, but I think that's fine. You all have seen what a sequence generator is. You all have seen what why a business process is required for delivering a document, right? So simply put, package connector, you don't have much of an options here. You go by the template. You configure the fields that are given to you by the template, and that should result in the expected output format of the vendor. Have like 68 errors. Okay. So what is happening here is there are a lot of errors. That means the subscriber Jill Jones has missing or invalid data. Worker value female is not valid for HIPAA. Right? It is expecting some character in the output, but you're sending female here. Right? So that means you messed up somewhere in your map. I'm going to go ahead and configure my integration map. We did not do it earlier. So there are these number of maps here. So I'll start with my gender. So if I 34 for male, for female, it goes by up. For male, it goes by yep. And then I would go by default value as U. Same level, position, time type. full-time, part-time, full-time FT, part-time PT, enrollment relationship type. If it's a sale, there are some codes here. I am not sure which one's what, but I'm just going to go random. Okay, this is call. So then call one. Okay, I'll leave it like that. I think we have sales and calls covered. Number level, map the configuration which map to configure with dates and date. All file are sent to member level date, 2000 internal values for field name from the workday enrollment. Part of the I don't think we need that. Marital status, I think it will vary. So we're looking at United States, single, goes by yes, and then the default value I'll put as you. So you don't have to have default value with them. Healthcare classification is VSP. It goes to VSP here. And the rest, let's default it to B. Then storage level code. So these are all the benefit things, right? The employee only is mapping to individual. So this is how HIPAA. HIPAA does not say employee EE, it says as IND. That's the HIPAA value. That's the value in the file. So I would say employee as individual and the rest of the information goes to FIM family. I think that should do Aures level code. Yeah, this is also right. Nope. No, I'm gonna just relaunch it. I know it will all error out. I don't expect a file to be coming out here. So this is our file. I'm gonna try and open it in Notepad and see. Oh, we still got the file, but we have some errors stating that this is not a HIPAA accepted format. Once you've finished your maps, this is going to give you a. Right. So if you observe, we haven't configured any. I mean, this is our output file, right? We haven't said any of this format to our integration. We haven't defined any of these fields to our integration. All we did is configure a couple of attributes, use the template, configure a couple of attributes, some maps, and we ended up in this 834 format that we require. So that is one example for the packaged connectors and how they are, how they can be used, right? But if you have a different provider who does not have a packaged connector, I mean, you don't have any option now. You have to go with a custom integration. Questions on the packaged connector? I mean, like you can go with any connector, and so most of the people ask me, is there a documentation how to configure the packaged connector? If you are working with a vendor, usually vendors provide the documentation. They'll say what this attribute should be, what this map should be, and everything. But some vendors don't have it, and they would say they don't know it. And you can't find anything on community. Implementation partners, they have access to it, like the documentation of the connector, so they can look what fields to what. As customers, we don't have it. That's a bummer. So what I do is I go by trial and error. I give it a try. Right now I got it. I got a CLAD file that I required. I got the HIPAA 34. I know there are some issues. I corrected them. So this is going to give me that file that I need, and I'm going to send it to the vendor and ask him for his feedback. And then I would get rest of the corrections made. Yeah, I completed all the errors, and then it fixed part-time, full-time, and everything. Okay. Questions?
Now all the packaged connectors, we can edit them like we have done here for all the clients or third-party applications.
We did not edit anything. We just configured it, right?
Yeah, I mean basically configuration. The configuration that we done.
Yeah, I mean not all the package connectors will have field overrides, or not all the package connectors will have maps and everything. Some package connectors they'll just have. I mean, it's just like they'll just ask you what they need. That's it, and they'll do the rest of the work. I mean, the integration template will automatically do the heavy lifting. You are only providing the required attributes, or you're only configuring certain elements that it requires in order to complete it.
You can also add new attributes, right?
What do you mean by new attributes? No, you never add new attributes to any core connector. Also, you never add attributes. You add overrides, which are like your additional fields, right? But attributes are defined by the template. They're by default. These are all attributes. You select the benefit plan that you want to include in the output and other stuff. Right? You select the values for the attributes. If you want to remove special characters, you say yes, or specify any special characters that you want Workday to remove from the name or file. Let's say your addresses you are expecting to be having tildes and at the rate and dollar and these symbols. And when you run the file, it will automatically delete it from the file and give you the file without these special characters. These are all attributes. Okay.
Krishna, quick question. So this file is delta changes only file, right? So if we run this file again, so we don't get any data again, since we got.
I have to check. I don't know if changes only, but it does have last successful run date. So some benefit connectors they behave weird. Let's see. Like Anthem connector. I worked in Anthem earlier last year, so that connector will give changes, but it is a full file with some transactional changes in it. So within the HIPAA 834, you do have some transactional information included here. Like each of this is translates to some code on the file that this rest of the information resembles this code. I mean, you would get the format anyways from the vendor, right? You would get the information saying like your NM1 should be your name and SSN number and everything. That will be there from the vendor anyways. So this is the output format that the vendor requires. So it is generating in that format. Any other template you're working on, it may generate something on a CSV or fixed width because that vendor is requiring in that format, or even XML.
This output file XML is generated specific to specific vendors, right? Even though if it's specific to that particular vendor, if vendor requests some more changes, how do you deal with those things?
So let's say the vendor requested some change and some field that is not available for you to configure, right? So you don't have a status code or something which you will not be able to configure on the template, right? In that case, you have to. So here is what you'll do. We have done something similar recently. We used this output and we inputted it into a studio. right? This event, whatever the integration event is generating, this output file is a text file, right? So we inputted it into Studio, and then we sent that information. We did the customization within Studio, right? If the template is not doing the entire job, you have to either disregard the template and build your own custom integration, or use the template and take that output, and if there's a minor change, you do it in Studio and translate it into the required format.
Okay.
But you will find some information in the community. Of course. Not everything. Somebody's asking something.
And Krishna, suppose there are two vendors who are similar, but for the other vendor there is no packaged connector. So can we use like the package connector which we have, but is not intended for the other vendors, but it is similar? So can we use the same package connector for the other vendor?
Yeah, nobody's going to stop you. You can use. There's no reason why you can't use it. I haven't seen any such case, but yeah, you can use the same. All you're doing is running the same integration and delivering the same file to a different vendor, right?
Okay.
And yeah, you can do that. There's no restrictions.
Okay, thank you.
Because within this integration, right, you also have a delivery service. We haven't configured yet. View integration delivery. So if you say within your document delivery, you want to deliver it to, instead of Vision, you want to deliver it to PCBS. And you give their SFTP servers and it will deliver it to PCBS. There's no reason why it should not.
Okay.
Any other questions, anyone? On the package connector? So there are probably hundreds of them. But when you're working on a new integration with a client or with a vendor, you start with your package connectors usually and see if there is a package connector that you can use. So these are all the templates. Triple S, medical, TurboTax. There's a TurboTax integration also. I don't know what does that. Okay. Yeah. So that is packaged. So before we move on to the next topic, does anyone have any questions on connectors and the packaged connectors within packaged? Okay, thank you. So that's the end of connectors. Before moving on to Studio from tomorrow, I said I'm gonna just go through some of the security topics and the custom fields. So for every integration, in order to run, right, when you run the integration, you observe, what is that? You observe an integration event once it's complete, says who launched it, initiated by me, and it ran as me. That means it took my security and it used my security in order to generate this file, right? So because I have access to all of this information, I was able to see this information on the output file. If this user, this run as, does not have all of the access, the information would be blank. right? That's what security is. You don't have access to, you can't see things that you don't have access to. So now it is running as me, right? It is fine because in a company, I'm an integration administrator and I have a lot of security. So integrations are comfortable running as me. But if I'm terminated, if I leave the company, right? The moment I leave the company, my security is rounded to zero. So I mean, that means I'm removed from all the security groups, right? Then immediately all of your integrations will start failing because everything is dependent on this guy here, or this guy's security, right? In order to avoid it, Workday gave us something called integration system user. We call it ISU. ISU as an integration system user. So that is a system user. That's not an employee or contingent worker. It's a system user that just holds up security and it runs the integrations for us. Right? So for every integration, you have that ISU that you can attach. So how do you create an ISU? Create integration system. Oh, we don't have to. Okay, start browsing. Create integration system user. I'm going to create a system user. IIT 04 vision ISU, and then I'm going to give it a password. Then click OK. And require new password to sign in. I'm going to not sign in with this ISU anyway. This user is just for running integration. Any time on do not allow US sessions. If you don't want anyone to log in with this credentials into the UI, you can select this box. Click OK. What is it? Password does not match requirements. Good. Come on. Okay. Now I have created my ISU. Okay, so what it means is, if I'm going to run my integration, I'm going to attach my ISU to my integration. I go to Actions, Workday Account, Edit, and I should be able to attach my code. Click OK. And then this says integration, and the Workday account associated with this integration is ISU that we have created. The ISU that we have created. Okay. Yeah, but if you run it now, it's going to run it for this 1 hour. It's okay. Now, if you see, it is initiated by Jill Jones, but it is running as the ISU. I just refresh. Shouldn't take that long. So now what it's going to do is, irrespective of Jill Jones, whoever launched it, it is always going to use the run as user security in order to get the information. Almost. Should take 20 more seconds. Started generating files. Cool, let's download this guy. If I open this guy here, what? heck? It did not have any security. The reason I'm stunned is this guy do not have any security. How come he got all the this guy? Why does all users get access? Okay, technically it should not retrieve me any data, it should error out. But I think all user security group, like every user has get access. That means everybody can get information out of somebody defaulted it to their entire tenant. So I can't do anything. Anyways, without showing you any difference, if I go back, these are the security groups that this ISU is part of. But technically all users should not have get access. So assuming nothing came up. So we need to create a security group that allows the information from the integration that allows the user to get the information out of that integration, right? In order to do that, we create a security group because ISU standalone does not have any security. It's just a dummy user. You assign the groups based on it. You can't remove you can't remove it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign it a security group that's called integration security group. Integration system security group unconstrained. That's a constrained and unconstrained. I think you guys know what the difference between unconstrained and constrained. Right, or did the functional guys miss it? Anyone?
Unconstrained is more like a system-wide. You get it across the system, and constrained it goes by the row-level security or by your business units or companies or organization cost centers and stuff.
Supervisory organization.
Yep, same thing. Yeah, it can go by super or company. It can go by any type of organization that you selected. Cool. Thank you. So we have two different integration system security groups here. One is constrained and unconstrained. Usually you will do unconstrained unless you want to restrict your integration security to a specific organization. Usually you won't do that. We'll do it for payroll integrations because you want to restrict it per pay group. You create a constraint and restrict it for that particular pay group. But otherwise you go with unconstrained. ISSG is what we call it. And then within this ISSG, you attach the user, INT. So you attach the user. Now this user have 4 security groups, including your ISSG, right? But your ISSG is currently an empty shell again. It does not have any domains associated with it. Right? In order to do that, go to actions, go to security group, and say maintain security permissions. And then you give it the required information that it needs access to address. You know, addresses should be included, right? I would say person data, work address. I also need home address. Public home. Okay. And then you need the national ID, so government national ID. National ID identification. Let's say you don't know what domain is associated with a specific field, right? Then you go for view security for securable item. And you look for national ID. Then it says I would go with used to be pretty simple. Now they added a lot of information, which makes it pretty complex. I don't like this. Why? Seriously, I'm not looking for national ID. Looking for national ID, but not within the. It's a government ID. Government ID. Yeah, government ID is in tenant non-configurable. Okay. Anyways, we have the dependent. We also need the dependent national ID as well. So this is in the benefits domain. You can say view security for the specific information. So within the benefits domain, you have the worker data dependent national ID domain within the benefit functionality. You can go back to your maintain security permissions and you can give this worker data dependent national ID. Come on. National ID identification is there, but what about this domain? Okay, the domain is good. Coming from worker data dependent. If I go there, the domain is active. Oh, so if I add the worker data dependent, because the dependent national ID is automatically inheriting the parent permission, which is the parent policy, which is coming from worker data dependence. I can just look for dependents and add the dependents. Let's say you don't want to add the entire dependent information in there, but you want to break that chain of things. What you can do is you can go to this, the domain itself, dependent national IDs, go here and override parent permissions. And then you add your ISFC here. So there are two ways to add your security group to a domain. You can directly add it within the domain security policy permissions, or you can add your domain in the maintain integrations, maintain permissions for the security group, right? It's going to click OK. And once you do it, you always have to go back and activate it. Activate pending security policy changes. You write your comments. And you activate domains that you want to add. These 4 domains. Okay. So whenever you're activating, you might be activating something someone else also did it, but there is pending. Like this guy needs some business process policy ready for hire. He did not activate it. It's just standing out there. When I'm activating my domains, it automatically is also activating this thing. So you can't leave it. You have to activate everything together. It's like the timestamp between 2 different security changes. Once you add it, your security group should now have all these domains. You have all these 3 domains, which you will take up on whatever one. Dependent national IDs. What happened to this domain? I went away. I did not click OK, I think so. Oh, click OK. And do I have? I think I already have the parent, right? So it's automatically not giving me. I don't know. I'm activating this dependent national IDs this time, click OK. And then if I go back to my ISSP, yeah, there you go. So this ISU now have access to this port domain. Technically, this ISU have a lot more access because it is by default set to all users, and all users have everything right now. Any questions? Yeah, pretty simple. I mean, you have a lot of things because earlier functionality probably covered other security aspects like role-based and everything. So this is specifically related to integration security and how you handle your integration security. Also, one of the things you need to remember is when you're running an integration, you can also schedule it, right? We have seen how to schedule it earlier. Run once future, and then you're gonna schedule it tomorrow, run it at 2:30 a.m. Click OK, and then once you have it, this schedule is owned by me. That means created by Jill Jones, and it is owned by Jill Jones, right? So whenever until Jill Jones is in this system, schedule runs. If Jill Jones is gone, the schedule does not have any owner. So in order to avoid that, we transfer the schedule ownership also to the ISU. So transfer the schedule feature process ownership to INT support. Thank God. This ISU does not have access to own an integration schedule, right? You see, you will not be able to pick it. Why is that? Because this user have access to a security, all the security groups, but none of these groups have domains to hold an integration schedule. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some integration domains in here. UN modify. Integration, configure, event, process, should give it. And activate these things. And then I should be able to give the ISU here now, right? Because now this ISU have security to hold that integration schedule. Click OK. And see now the schedule is owned by the ISU 90004, owned by this ISU, right? Even Jill Jones is gone, the schedule will continue to work as is. Any questions so far?
Krishna, on document transformation and stuff, core connectors and stuff, I understand you need to have get and put permissions for particular security domains or integration processes. But for DT,
Yes.
do you need any specific security?
No, not necessarily. No, you don't need any specific security. It's just the transforming the data, right? You wouldn't need anything.
Yes.
It will take the core connector. Usually, whenever you have your core connector or something will run before your DT, right? So it will automatically take the core connector's user and run as that user, unless you have a separate user configured.
It could
Right,
be
whenever you
DT
run that integration,
can be document transformation can be ahead of the core connector too, right? If it is inbound and I'm getting a file like a currency rates or stuff.
No, you can't do it that way. You are saying you get a file from a third-party vendor, and if your core connector is an inbound core connector, like for organization or something, you will translate your CSV into the required format for the core connector.
Correct.
And feed it into Workday.
Correct.
That would be an interesting. I've never seen something like that, or haven't even thought about it, because most of the core connectors inbound we don't use connectors because they have a specific format and everything that they need. If the vendor is able to send that format, then we'll use. Otherwise, we'll use the Studio APIs. But yeah.
Okay, but even in that case, if DT is the first process, then you don't need a specific security. It's not initial process.
It needs to. I mean, it needs the integration event and integration process, anyways, because it's running the integration event, right?
Correct.
So it needs those domains to own the schedule and all.
Yeah, in integration itself can schedule. You can make a BP.
Yeah. Yep, I think so. You don't need any field level access because you're not getting any information or putting anything with DT.
Okay. Yeah.
But you will never use the DT ahead of anything else.
So it's not necessary, probably then.
Yeah, I mean, now that you asked that question, I'm just thinking about it, how to do it. Otherwise, I never even thought. I never would have thought about it that way. Because DT has some input tags that it requires. Maybe
can you open one DT?
It, but yeah.
Let's open one DT, and we can define a business process, and a C can be in a core connector integration. Right? I thought we watched that.
Yes, we can define something, and we can put a core connector or any packaged connector that loads information into Workday. But DT output, okay, let's see. Yeah, this is our DT. We have a report here, so I'm just gonna remove it. Process area definition. No worries, don't use anything there. I'm gonna put a step. I'm gonna change this DT as step B, and I'm gonna add a step C. And that will be also a different integration. Right?
Yeah.
Then you're saying this can be a connector.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a core connector work. It can be a core connector worker, but you need an inbound connector. What you're saying?
Yeah. Let's select currency conversion or currency rate. Yeah, something can be an inbound connector.
Oh, that is a connection called currency rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
It needs inbound as we defined.
Okay. It requires an input file format of XML, input file tag. Your input file tag should match whatever your core connector is, your DT is generating as output file tag. So let's say I'm going to bind 002, and I go back to my core connector here. I add my GK. Whenever you configure, you can also select a run as user. You can do an ISU here. So this connector, whatever your connector is, kind of a currency conversion, will use that ISU security.
Correct. Okay.
Or you can directly give your DT enough access to load because DT is your first integration. And before DT, you would have your document retrieval and your output tag from your DT should be matching the input tag for your connector.
Yeah. the Workday account associated with DT has enough access to do currency rates, then probably everything will be seamless, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But let's say if the account
that would make
associated with the, but if that doesn't have access to currency rates, you can specify run as somebody who has access and initiate it with the user 1 and transition to user 2 who has access to currency rates.
Yes.
As part of step C. That's doable, right?
Yep, that's doable. So whenever you configure your integration on your business process, it is asking you to do run as user. If you have an ISU, you can put the ISU.
Okay.
But that would be a good to try if you want to do a DT first and then.
I tried, not in this tenant. I tried somewhere. Yeah, with currency rates, not DT. Sorry, I used CSV and did it. But yeah, I'll try it.
Oh yeah. But yeah, there is a DT ahead of it to translate the input file. Yeah. But okay.
CSV attachment to currency conversion worked. The currency rate worked.
Yeah,
but DT yeah, that's straightforward. But DT to currency rate, I have not tried. I'll try that.
Yeah. Yep. And then one other last thing we want to discuss today would be custom fields and custom objects. So we have never talked about anything. We have talked about calculated fields, right? Those are built on Workday delivered fields. Like every calculated field you see, it's just a translation or a layer on top of a Workday delivered field. That's it, right? So what are custom fields and custom objects? So let's say your client has a new field like UID or unit ID or something that is not used in any of the other clients. Like it's unique to your client, right? Or they store the body information, or they store your car numbers or car license plate numbers, or anything like that sort, right? They don't have, Workday did not give you the delivered fields to show your client-specific information in Workday, right? In order to come around it, they provided something called custom objects. Create custom objects. So these are an extension of your Workday delivered object. So these go by an extension. So whether you have an effective or non-effective dated goes by business process. Like you can use an effective date and enter some custom field value, non-effective dated, or just they're effective at the moment you enter it. So I'm going to select worker. I'm going to select create a field with worker. And then I'm going to give it a name called object 1. And then within the definition, you have your custom object name and the web service alias. So this is what you use to update this custom object via APIs. And the field definitions, I'm going to propose a field called the field 1. The field type is set to text. You can select any of these field types. Wow, they're expanding it. And then you have display order if you have multiple fields, which one should be coming first and which one should be coming second. You have validations saying that field is required. You're basically creating some custom fields in Workday that you can use on a worker. Field 2 is probably date. This display order is 2. This display order is 1. Next. And then the permission. What domains secure this custom object? You can say if it's ID information, right? You can go with ID. You can go with worker IDs, or you can go with national identification, gender identity, whatever the domain you feel comfortable in adding. If you don't want any other delivered domains to be part of this custom object, you can do a custom domain also. Yeah, you have a lot of custom domains that we can use. Custom domain 1, this now secures this entire thing. So next, that's it. Save OK, and it requires an activation. Activate custom object. These are some basic elements it's asking us to confirm. I'm going to click OK. So this custom domain 1, now your custom object is alive, right? If anybody has access to this custom domain 1, they should be able to see it. So I'm going to go to this domain and see who has access to this. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to add our integration group here. Integration admin. I'm going to also add all users. Who cares? I'm going to activate it. Okay, once that is active, you can go to any worker profile and you should be able to view your custom fields that you have created on actions. Scroll down for additional information, additional data, and you can edit and select the custom object that we have created, object 1, and then give your values, test, and then the date, field 1 and field 2, right? So you can directly get this information from worker object if you want, because this information, this custom object is an extension of the worker. So these fields are automatically available on the worker business process per report. Okay. There are limitations. I'm not sure what they did right now, but a couple of years back, you can only do maximum of 250 custom fields and 50 custom objects in a tenant. You can go on a free and create a lot of custom objects and fields. So there is a limitation. I think that still stands true. But yeah, usually people don't create a lot of them. They just use them wisely. Okay. Yeah, we're running. I think we ran out of time. So any other questions so far? Anybody? Tomorrow we'll kickstart Studio. We'll take it from there. Okay. Everybody's good. Let's wrap, and we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna.
Thank you.
Bye.